know, non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Hey, you held him to 20 points, man. You gave us a chance at the end. But I got 3 words for you. You like that?
Yeah.
You like that? 1, 2, 3. You like that?
I love how we have 3 versions of it now. You've got the Washington version.
You like that? You like that?
The OG.
I love that, Kirk. I love the OG.
I found a great drop for us. I even marked it in my very organized, unorganized notes on my laptop. There is a scene, I think in episode 6 or 7, I think it's during the Giants game, the playoff game, where he says, "No, dang it, Kirk, bad Kirk," to himself in third person. We will be cutting that as a drop, and Phil can play it whenever it is appropriate to play it.
It is good.
I don't know that it's going to be appropriate much this season. Second year in the system, Jordan Addison coming in, full year at TJ Hawkinson, 2 of the best tackles in the NFL. Old Kirky boys should be putting up some numbers this year. But welcome into part 3 of our Netflix quarterback series from a Kirk Cousins perspective review. We're going to go through some of the things that stood out to us between episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 was mostly a Patrick Mahomes coronation. There was a little Kirk singing with the chains with Kelly Clarkson, I think. It made a little appearance in there at one point.
Yep.
But we'll go over thoughts from the second half of the series, and then just any themes that we may not have talked about in the first 2 episodes here. A shout out to our friends over at TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution at an affordable cost. Learn more at TCL.com and inspire greatness with TCL. So, all right, we'll do this in statements form, and we'll kind of go around the room. So I'll start you guys off with this one.
You like that? You like that?
I've seen a lot of people making a big deal out of the 24-hour Tuesday rule. That Kirk, unlike a lot of other quarterbacks who come in and they do film study, like Tuesday is an off day on the NFL weekly calendar, unless you have a Thursday game or something. There's like charitable events that guys might go to, but it's kind of a rest and recovery day, unless you're a quarterback. Usually quarterbacks go in, like I think Brady and Belichick would have their long meetings on Tuesdays so that they were both on the same page going into the Wednesday full practice preparation, right? Mm-hmm. And Kirk doesn't work on Tuesdays. He takes 24 hours off just to completely clear his mind and whatever, hang out with the family. He even references that his wife, I think Julie herself said this actually, that I don't know that we could make this work if he didn't do the 24-hour Tuesdays. So here's my statement. It does not bother me at all whatsoever that Kirk Cousins takes 24 hours off every single Tuesday. Because I don't think any of his shortcomings have anything to do with a lack of preparation. That dude prepares more meticulously than almost any quarterback you'll ever see. I think his shortcomings, like the in-game stuff that you see, checking down on a 4th and 8, going kind of blue screen of death, or getting tense and getting frustrated and the coach has to calm you down. I don't think there's any amount of work you can do on a Tuesday that prevents you from getting super frustrated if the game goes off script on a Sunday. So if that's what he needs for mind, body, spirit, and family, 24 hours off on a Tuesday, I don't have any problem with it.
So, bother you? I mean, yeah, I'm not bothered by it. I was shocked by it because of this. He is so meticulous about his classroom work. And that is the day where you, the quarterback is, especially a big time one, they are like a quarterback player / assistant coach. They get the opportunity because, most guys, if you were to show up on Tuesday and be like, I got some play ideas, the coach would be like, get the hell out of here. We're game planning. But the quarterback can be very important in that process. So I don't want this to come off as a rip, because that's not fair. I want this to come off as I was actually really surprised. And I had no idea, because to your point, Phil, there was a lot of QBs, especially the upper echelon ones, who go in on Tuesdays and they literally help game plan. And then the coaching staff can be like, okay, how do you feel about this play against the Panthers? And the QB might be like, let's tweak it a little bit here and there. And then they go back and forth. So by the time that the players arrive on Wednesday for the installation of the Sunday game plan, the quarterback is almost an assistant coach there.
Yep.
Given Kirk's meticulous anal nature, I was really surprised by this. I had no idea about this. And I will give you just a reference point example here. So when Dante Culpepper got hurt in 2005 and Brad Johnson, a veteran, very savvy QB, took over as a starter, he would go in on Tuesdays and like he and Tice and the offensive staff would game plan. And by the time the rest of the team showed up on Wednesday, Brad would be essentially able to articulate what the installation was going to be.
Yeah.
When Brad Childress got the job in 2006 and Brad showed up on the first Tuesday that the team was off, Brad Childress is like to Brad Johnson, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "Cause I help out. I help here." And Childress like, No, we're good.
I'm good.
Go home. Now,
actually, Childress was like,
Brad, we don't need you. So the point is, though, a lot of veteran QBs want their say, want their hand in the actual sit down. And what surprises me more about 2022 than before is I could see Kirk with the Zim staff, especially some of the OCs, being like, well, if you're not going to basically take what I say to heart, forget about it. And like, because Mike Zimmer, as we know, literally didn't talk to Kirk.
Yeah.
The O'Connell relationship seems to be so close that, again, the word that I'm going to use is I was shocked that he doesn't participate. But I'm not going to.
But he does. But there's a whole scene where he's in the room with Wes Phillips and Kevin O'Connell and then a couple other coaches, and they're going over like Kevin literally says, "All right, so Kirk, based on the list here, for this is like a weekly meeting that they're having.
Yep.
You like this. Talk me through why you like these plays. Like, so they were doing that together. It just wasn't on a Tuesday.
The difference in football, though, is what you're talking about is like the chef and sous chef allowing you to get a sample of the dishes. The Tuesday is when you make the meals.
Sure.
So,
but he's kind of, and I guess, I have criticized him for this. He would rather just be told what to cook. And he's got some input, but he doesn't need his name on the restaurant.
I found it super interesting. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm not going to dump on the guy, because to your point, he's incredibly prepared. Yeah. I just found it to be that to me was one of the most interesting things I saw, because I had no idea about that.
Yeah. Okay. Those are fair points. Those are fair points.
You like that?
Yeah. All right,
You like
Declan.
that?
I'll go with this one. And we kind of talked about this in, I believe, the yesterday's on episodes 3 and 4 of this documentary series. But Kirk Cousins is very dismissive when he's trying to focus, which we talked about this a little bit. And I'm in the same vein too. When I'm really trying to focus in on something, I don't like being asked secondary questions. But he is dismissive. I believe there's even the scene where KOC says to Kirk, "Don't get frustrated, man." He's like, "No, I'm frustrated."
I hate that. That drives.
Well, and then he storms. Man. Then he stormed away.
Yeah,
that's what I didn't like.
That type of stuff, like putting myself in Kevin O'Connell's shoes, like, hey man, we're okay. This is football or whatever it could be anything. We're all grinding here. We're like, things aren't going to be perfect. Okay, things are imperfect now. We need to put our heads together and figure out what we're doing. And that did drive me nuts about Kirk, where he just doesn't want. No, go away. Blah, 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 right? It's like, no, dude, no. Snap out of it. Be in the moment, and let's talk about what the strategy is. So that did trigger me a little bit.
So this entire thing too gave you so many great glimpses of things, right? Like it made things make sense. One thing I thought was incredible, like just in processing, and it's going to seem silly, but it's not. In episode 8, when he talks about the fact that he was invited very late, the day before the NFL awards, to attend, and then they called back and said, "Do you want to sing a Kelly Clarkson song with her on the stage about Brady?" And at first he's like, he said he sat by George Kittle's dad on the plane, and Kittle's dad said, "Got to take chances." So Kirk goes and actually on television before a lot of people, in what would be nerve-wracking to a lot of us, pulls this off with he's got the lyrics down. Mm-hmm. It's actually really, really good. And I thought to myself, why? Like, that's an intimidating thing. I don't care what the platform is. That's intimidating. The reason why is because he could completely control it.
Yeah.
So all of that, because he's a really smart guy. So he could memorize in a very short time the lyrics, pull it off, he probably rehearsed it once before he did it at most. But the point is,
but probably not with the chains on, No,
probably not. But if he can be in control, like if he feels I've got this, I'm totally in control, he's great. But to Declan's point, when it starts to disintegrate, now it's, oh my God, you got to go in a different direction. He starts to get really frustrated.
If Kelly starts singing a different song up there,
it's over.
If Behind These Hazel Eyes comes on,
it's
you're going to have
over.
no idea what the lyrics are. Okay?
It was so interesting.
All right, Judd, what's your statement here?
You know what? Actually, I'm going to pivot a little bit here because I'm going to praise KOC again. Because I think that there's glimpses of Kevin that are just so interesting. They're so anti-Zimmer, and they're so important. Kevin O'Connell's ability, and this is the first time we actually like sort of saw this, to pivot from a devastating, awful loss to Dallas to 4 days after to get that team back against the Patriots and win a tough game. And his post-game speech after the Cowboys debacle, his post-game speech after the Patriots, his demeanor in the Dallas game, which is like and he realized it. We all did. He basically said to Kirk, okay, let's put this behind us as quick as possible. This is with the game in progress, and I'm paraphrasing. Let's put this behind us as quick as possible. We've got to look to Thursday. And then on Thursday comes out just firing on all positivity. And you know what? I am by nature a negative guy. And everyone knows that, okay? But in professional sports, that doesn't serve you. That doesn't serve you. I've always said this based on my experience in watching the 2003 Wild team, which had no business beating Colorado, and then the Canucks, and the fact that they acted like they could win the Stanley Cup. And in my mind, I'm like, what? These guys are stupid. And in their mind, they're like, no, if we don't think that, we can't upset anybody. And O'Connell has that same thing. He's got the same thing. In the moment of the Cowboys debacle, the sense of, okay, this is done. In the fourth quarter, like, let's bury this. And then to turn around in 4 days and come out like nothing had happened, and then give the speech. 4 days ago, we were in this room and it didn't feel good. But now, I think there were glimpses of Kevin that are exactly why I think this guy's going to be a great head coach for a long time.
And I tell you guys I love you. I mean it. From the bottom of my heart. I will ride with this group until they don't let us play anymore games.
Just point me to the brick wall so I can
But it's
run
real.
through it. I know. He does an amazing job with like the psychology stuff, with Kirk, with the locker room, kind of just like telling the story of the season, right? He does a great job of de-emphasizing big losses, and then does a great job of making you feel good after a win, but knowing that, hey, we're still not good enough. Like, he just seemed to really nail the flow of the communication with the team and to the public and everything. Dex?
Yeah, I want to bring back up the point that we were talking about on Feedback Friday of him not throwing to Jefferson in the playoff game against the Giants where he should throw to the sticks. I actually found the quote on this. Shout out to Joe Nelson, Bring Me the News, actually transcribing the exact quote from this episode.
Wow.
Kirk said, quote, "When you throw short of the sticks like that and he's tackled, you know you're going to get a lot of grief for it. But Justin was doubled, and instinctively, it felt careless to throw it to him with the game on the line," end quote.
It's the opposite. With the game on the line, it's like I've been obsessed this week with the World Series of Poker $10,000 main event. And with your tournament down the line, you're dwindling in chips. You don't have much of a chance. The worst thing you can do is continue to let your chip stack dwindle, because then you don't have any chip. Now you can't double up, triple up, right? You need to pick a spot, be aggressive, and just kind of cross your fingers. And he did it against Buffalo. He picked a spot. He was aggressive. The game's on the line. Screw it. Let's do it. And it is like I transcribed a quote here too. Maybe this is a paraphrase, but I didn't want to force a throw to JJ with the season on the line like that. Yeah. So kind of the same deal. And that, like, to me, Judd, you brought up on Feedback Friday, there's all these great things about Kirk in this series. You see how great of a person and a father and a husband he is, and just how meticulous he is. And you see why he's one of the top, let's call it 10 to 12 quarterbacks in the world. But that 4th and 8 is a reason why you wouldn't give him a contract extension. Because if you felt like, well, what do we do? Like, if those are the moments You need your mindset to be different. And if it's not for him and he's 35 years old, I don't know that there's a way forward for $40 million a year, I guess, is the big caveat.
And here's the Cousins quote when he threw it to Jefferson in Buffalo, which now, again, makes this quote in the Giants game even more frustrating to me. Quote, there's a lot of trust there that even in tight coverage, when you put the ball out there for Justin, he'll make a play, end quote.
So what was different? Why was he thinking differently?
About that? And I think it literally just rehashed an entire agony of me and made it more frustrating.
It's a playoff
watching
game.
that.
It's a playoff game. That's what was different. His mindset changed because it was a playoff game.
He doesn't throughout, and we've mentioned this a bunch of times, but he wrote an autobiography several years ago before he came to Minnesota about like his college career and I think the first few years in Washington.
Sure.
And in the first like 20 pages of that book, and I have this in my notes somewhere, like in a different document, I transcribed it from the book. He tells a story about throwing an interception in the red zone against Notre Dame, a Michigan State Notre Dame game, and basically saying to himself, like, you can't be the reason why your team loses. He's so focused on, and it's part of what makes him put up crazy great stats. Like, he's not throwing interceptions, right? He's got great ratios, everything. He doesn't want to be, and how often can you think of, there's like the Falcons game from a couple years ago. How many times in Kirk Cousins' Vikings career has he derailed a game? Joe Burrow derails games sometimes. Brett Favre derailed like 1 in every 4 games, it felt like. Oh, there's Brett Favre threw 4 interceptions today. Kirk doesn't do that. But there's moments like this where it's not about avoiding being the reason why you lose. Mm-hmm. It's about being the reason why you win. That Buffalo game, what's funny is he was actually kind of dwelling on the missed quarterback sneak and some of this stuff. It's like, dude, you threw a freaking hero pass that got caught. That's what you should hang your hat on. Dwell on that, right? And remember that going forward.
But I think in his mind, I think the way it works is this. He actually, on at least 2 occasions, derailed that game himself. That pass where he thought he saw Jefferson that got picked, and Jefferson is nowhere near there. He just saw something wrong. Yeah. And then to your point, the sneak, I think as things started to go wrong, he actually loosens up. Mm-hmm. And in the Giants game, he actually played statistically really well. Nothing had gone really wrong. It wasn't his fault that the team was behind. And I think in that case, he's like, keep going like Kirk. Keep going like Kirk.
I'm not the reason. I'm not the reason
why
we
lost. It snaps a little bit when it's like, I screwed up. Now I got to do something. And I like that. There are different. I mean, we learn. It's very important here. We learn that. So Mahomes snaps really quickly as far as his game persona. Cousins doesn't, but when he does, he is the real you like that Kirk, the sort of FU Kirk, the Kirk that came out, and this was not used. I texted Phil about this yesterday. The Kirk that came out in the joint practice against San Francisco at TCO last year, when Kirk makes a play with his parents there, which might not have been an accident, but anyway, Kirk makes a play and he says, "You effing like that?"
with like the full F-bomb.
With a full F-bomb, stands are full near field, and his teammates were like, "Oh, this is awesome."
He swore. This is crazy.
Swore. But I mean, people are looking for a reason to rally here. And like, I actually think in retrospect now, that was a very important moment because the F-bomb from Kirk is such a rarity. Like, there was an intensity there where you're like, I love that Kirk. I love sort of not pouting Kirk, not frustrated Kirk. I love pissed off Kirk.
Go to war, Kirk. Yeah.
Yes, that guy. And it was almost like in the Bills game, he's like, F it. Here's the pass.
Yeah.
And Jefferson, and I know Jefferson was double covered against the Giants, but worst case, he doesn't catch it. Dude, you didn't check it down, baby.
You've hit on something super interesting here. And I can already hear like the diehard, never say a bad word about Cousins people are losing their minds or have already stopped listening to this podcast. But when you said the distinction in the Buffalo game was he made a couple mistakes, threw an interception, whatever, couple interceptions, at least the one.
No, he threw 2.
Threw 2.
Yep.
And one of them was really, really bad.
Yep.
And they were kind of down, right? That it was already off script. They're down. He's made a couple mistakes. And so now it's no longer about preserving the perfect game. It's about, well, I've already allowed 5 earned runs. I might as well throw some fastballs, right, and just see what happens.
Yep.
And he does, and Jefferson catches it.
Yep.
That Giants playoff game, that was a no-hitter. Kirk was excellent throughout that entire game. And so to your point, like consciously or subconsciously, hey, I have not made a mistake yet today. I ain't about to make the mistake that ends the game.
Right.
That is his thought process.
Right. That's how it goes.
And so sometimes it's great because, hell yeah, Kirk went through the whole day today and threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and did not make a fatal mistake. But there's some times where it's not, like I said, it's not about avoiding the mistake. It's about elevating the team when you need it. So you're blaming Kirk for the loss against the Giants. No. That's
I
not what
throw
this
a pass he's thrown before.
Yep, that's not what the conversation.
And so did Kevin. Like, do you think that they get, and we didn't get this because it was probably not included for obvious reasons, but you know, that meeting after that pass where I think O'Connell's like, what the F are you doing there? Like, the play call might not have been good, but your veteran quarterback in that case needs to make a decision that is a sink or swim with the pass, not a check down.
Yep. You know, here's another thing real quick, a nuanced thing on the play call. I think there are quarterbacks that get that play call. They see the route tree. They know this is all happening within like 5 seconds, right? They see the route tree. They know the moment. And they think to themselves, I don't know if that's get a rookie head coach. We think he's a great head coach, but he's a rookie head coach. This is also like, we talk about the biggest moment of the season for Kirk in that spot. That's the biggest moment of the season for Kevin O'Connell, and he may have just called a crappy play. Yep. Are there quarterbacks, especially 34, 35-year-old veterans, that would get the play in their ear and think, oh, if I love that. I don't know if I love that. Especially like once you get up and survey the defense. Is there a hot route? Is there a check? Is there a kill? Like, is there something?
Well,
is there a different option if you don't love the look at the line of scrimmage? And do other quarterbacks take it into their own hands in that situation?
A little bit more probably. Like we still don't know to this day what the play call was. Like what broke down there. Because I guarantee you the Hawkinson pass was not on the menu of, hey, if all goes wrong, just check her down and we'll go home.
To me, that route seemed like the only function for that route. Well, I guess there's 2 functions. If it's a busted coverage and he happens to be wide open, all right, cool. Like throwing the ball and hope he can run for 9 yards. Or was it meant to like clear a defender out so that, but I don't know. So anyhow, before we go further here, this is great. Let's shout out our friends over at Livia here real quick. Livia helping a lot of Purple Daily and Score North listeners lose a lot of weight the last couple of years.
Absolutely true, including me, down 40 pounds. This is a couple of years ago now. Guy on the left, a little bit chunky. Guy on the right, yeah, that's right. Looking good, suit and tie. And that is because of a weight loss program that I'm going to tell you right now. And a lot of you who watch us, who have joined, know this. This is a program that works. And right now, I've got the best deal of the summer for you. Join today. Get 50% off your personalized program. You're going to lose up to 10 pounds or more in the first 2 weeks. And here's the best part, too. Inside the state or outside, you can join. If you are a PD fan in California, Las Vegas, Boston, guess what? Everything can be done virtually. So we've had a lot of people who have chimed in and said, I've done this program virtually and it's worked out great. Voted Minnesota's best weight loss program year after year. 855-GO LIVEA. Livia.com. Livia, LIVEA.com. Livia Weight Control Center. It is a program that works and is going to help you sustain the weight loss.
What about the 3M Open? That sounds like a blast later on this month here, Dex, huh? Go see some Tony Finau.
That's right.
Little Billy Horschel. Let's make it happen.
Got Horschel going. You got my guy Gary Woodland as a fellow Puma man. Love to see that as well.
You know, he's your guy.
Yeah. Well, he wears Puma, so naturally I think I have to root for him. Yeah, great field though at 3M Open this year. Hideki Matsuyama, and Finau will be defending his title. We got to see in full swing that similar documentary that we just saw, like in quarterback. We saw the behind the scenes of what it took for him to finally win that tournament. His family was all here. He brings his family everywhere. So Finau will be back to defend his title. Go to 3mopen.com/tickets to get yours today, July 24th through the 30th and in the Twin Cities. Go to 3mopen.com/tickets.
All right, boys, let's keep it rolling here. So we've kind of talked about there's the Cowboys letdown after the Bills game, and then there's the Patriots Thanksgiving game. And this covers the Colts comeback as well. So my next statement is Judd Zulgad and Julie Cousins have way more in common than you would think, because both of them strongly considered or straight up left that game at halftime. So Judd left the game at half. Dex and I were begging Judd to stay because we thought they were going to come back. And Judd's like, I'm done.
She stayed.
But she said, I thought about, for the first time ever, leaving the game at halftime and just going, bring Cooper back home. By the way, after that game was over, one of the best scenes of the entire thing, and I'm not a parent, but I am a dog dad, and I can imagine bringing Maya Mackey to the catering.
People hate that. People hate that when you're like, "Oh, my dog's my kid."
But Kirk bringing his kid Cooper to the back after that game, and then to the catering area. It's like this dude just orchestrated the biggest comeback in NFL history, and he's like, "Cooper, what?" Now Cooper, very disciplined, chose strawberries over fried chicken fingers.
He says, "I want five
strawberries." Yeah.
What little kid says 5?
A very meticulous, rigid child, I think.
It's Cousins, like it's like his old man.
The strawberry doesn't fall far from the tree in that situation. But then Kirk like demanded at the end, he asked him like 4 times, how about a chicken finger? Are you sure? I'm going to put a chicken finger on this plate because you're probably going to want one. But that whole scene was really cool. And Julie Cousins almost pulling a Judd Zulgad was funny too.
So here's what I'd like to tell Kirk, okay? So the Vikings have just had the largest comeback in the history of the National Football League. The locker room is going absolutely crazy. It's obviously chaotic, but awesome, right? And the starting quarterback looks at the wide receiver, Thielen, who's brought his son in, and says, "Oh, I can get my son too." Kirk, you're the starting quarterback. You can bring Cooper in that locker room whenever you damn want. You are one of the most important players. Well, no, hold on a second. You are the most important player on the roster. Cooper can locker by you, dude. You don't need to see Thielen's kid. You don't need to say, I can go get Cooper. And I also think that Julie sits in the stands.
For the road game, like for that Washington game and the Buffalo game, she's in the stands. Yeah.
But I also saw one game where I think she's in the stands at US Bank Stadium.
Yeah. That's Julie, That Kirk, is super brave as the wife of the quarterback. Get
yourself a suite. Get yourself a damn suite and make sure it's free.
Yeah, is it Brittany Mahomes? Is that her name?
She's in a suite.
Why is she in a suite, but Julie Cousins can't get a suite?
Because they're ordinary people that go to Sam's Club and Target. Okay, they're ordinary people that sit in the stand just like a working class.
Sit in the third deck then if you really want the experience.
As an ordinary guy, can I work with the Cousinses to make sure, first of all, a suite, but second of all, Kirk, Cooper can be in that locker room whenever you say you want him in there. You don't have to see a teammate bring his kid in there, man. You are the starting quarterback. Show that moxie. Show that confidence. I want that. Show that swagger.
5 strawberries. Let's get it. Dex.
I want to go to Mahomes here because I found this really interesting in episodes 5, 6, and 7. It would be wild to be part of Patrick Mahomes' entourage where you are inside his house waiting for him to come back from the game and you're just eating Doritos and snacks.
How about
that? Like think about that. Like you're part of the entourage. You're a cousin or you're a friend of Brittany or Patrick, and you are chilling in the quarterback's house watching the game, and then he just comes in like he's one of the guys, and he was just running a couple errands. Now he's back to hang out and party with you guys.
Would you want that though? Like I feel like maybe it's just my introverted. I lean a little more introverted, but I don't know that I'd want 15 people at my house after I just got done with a long day at the office like that.
At 20, but at 25, 26. I think it might be fun. No, get the hell out of my house.
It depends on the circumstance. If I came home if I was the quarterback and I came home after a bad loss and all those people were in my house, I would be very pissed. But after a big win, it'd be cool to have everyone over and whatnot. But I could not process that part of I'm just a guy who works at AutoZone and I'm chilling in Patrick Mahomes' house waiting for him to get home after he beat the Bengals or something. That thing is wild to me.
There was he interacted with one guy and it was like, oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. Like who's the guy that he hasn't seen in a long time, the distant relative that just finds himself hanging out at Patrick Mahomes.
Probably a buddy.
Hello.
Probably a college buddy. Oh, what's going on?
Oh man, it seemed like the husband of a first cousin or something. But
right.
Right. Let's do a couple more here before we wrap, Judd.
All right. So I've been on record for a long time, and I still believe this right now, that Kirk Cousins, very successful, will never win a Super Bowl. But I have found the formula to get him one, okay? Because it's about mindset. It's not about ability. The dude is really good. All right. It's two-pronged, but I would like to tie two separate things that we saw. I think they were both in the same episode together as where Kirk needs to be from a mental standpoint to win a Super Bowl. The first one is this. I think there's at least there's three scenes where the psychologist that the Vikings employ, Kirk is talking to him. And good on Kirk for allowing us to see this. But the first one I'm talking about is Kirk's talking to him. I think it appears that they meet each week at some point in time. And he tells the psychologist that trust mindset is important. I don't know. I've always had that. Okay. Now I'm going to tie it with this. And this is very Zolgadian. But again, for a professional athlete, this is not a good thing. The Vikings have made this unbelievable comeback against the Colts. Like, this game was crap. And they're tied in overtime. And they get Greg Joseph to 48 yards. Is that right? A 48-yard field goal?
It was like 41 or something.
Yeah,
okay. It's a very makeable field goal.
Yes.
It was under 50 for sure.
And Kirk is standing by Dennis Ryan.
The equipment guy. Yeah.
The equipment guy. God bless him. He's unbelievable. But like in this moment of truth, he's standing by Dennis. And Kirk says, it's too far of a kick. It's too far of a kick.
He's like, it's like negative, anxious energy.
Bad energy. And Dennis has to say, it'll be okay. He's going to make it.
The equipment guy's like, dude, calm down, man.
These are exhibits. If this was a court of law and order, these are exhibits A and B of why until you get past that, you are not going to win a Super Bowl. You cannot be thinking like this. You can't go into it like the trust mindset is important. I don't know. I've always had that. Dude, you're a quarterback. The trust mindset in yourself has to be, especially with your talent, has to be sky high constantly. And when Greg Joseph, now, did I think he'd miss? Yeah, I sort of was thinking he's going to miss. But I'm me.
Okay,
you're his teammate.
Okay, hold on. I think, I'm going to, I don't know if I disagree here. I think I interpreted because I wrote down the exact same quote here. The trust mindset is important. I don't know that I've always had that. I interpreted that, maybe I'm wrong, as a shot at Mike Zimmer. I took that to mean like the trust mindset with my coaches, with the head coach. Okay. Is important. I don't know that I've always had that. I guess we didn't get the full context of the conversation.
I felt like he was always talking about himself.
So who knows? I guess we just don't know for sure. So on the kicker thing, super interesting because I could even give him like most fans who've watched Vikings kickers think he's probably going to miss the kick, right? Let's be honest. It's human nature. But doesn't there have to be a filter? If you're him in that moment, you're the leader of the team. Do you need to be polluting the air with this like toxic, anxious, negative energy? Oh my God, it's too far. We're going to lose the game. It's too far. It's too far. Or can you let that just be maybe some internal chatter in that moment? You can maybe think, well, Greg Joseph's kind of a bum. Probably going to miss this. But you don't think Patrick Mahomes has some moments where he's like, God, is it Butker? Is that their kicker? Boy, this guy kind of sucks. But he's not polluting the air with that. He's going around saying, hey, we're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. It's constant positive reinforcement. Yeah, again, we're not like trashing Kirk, but that is a super interesting quirk to his personality.
He says the same thing too in the Bills game after the Bills fumbled the snap, the Vikings took the lead, and Kirk's on the sideline saying, we're going to have to score again. We're going to have to score again. Now, I will say, not having to trust in that Vikings defense, a little bit more validated than Greg Joseph lining up to kick.
I was okay with that.
But it's not as much about like, do you trust the defense or not? It's about how are you leading in that moment. That's what we're talking about.
But I think in the Bills game, I think it's okay to say our side of the ball is going to have to do this.
Be ready. But
yeah, he's blatantly saying to Dennis Ryan, it's too far. He's saying he's going to miss it.
He's also kind of saying self-deprecatingly, I didn't do a good enough job of getting us deep enough into field goal range.
But I don't want you thinking that way. There's nothing positive about that in the moment.
Get that. You can think that way. Just don't pollute the air with it. Is sort of the, yeah. Hey, I got one more for you guys here.
Yep.
And there's a million. I'm sure there's gonna be stuff that spills over into other episodes of Purple Daily, but
You like that, Andre? 1, 2, 3.
I love how they just bailed on Marcus Mariota after 6 episodes.
Until the very end in 8, when it's like he signed with Philadelphia.
Yep. They
Like,
literally
it's a
just
long ways away and cold.
he wasn't included at all after like the 6th episode. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I signed with the Eagles. Dude, you just bailed on the season. He literally just left. And I get that his wife had a baby. He's like, screw this. I'm going to get meniscus surgery that I've needed for a while.
Right.
So they just stopped covering Marcus Mariota. Kind of a dud, man. I think if they could go back, they would probably choose somebody else. But I hope they do this again and pick 3 new quarterbacks. Yep. But Marcus Mariota was a total bust in this docuseries for my money.
Kirk, to his credit, was the only one of the 3 whose wife was not expecting.
Credit to him?
Yeah, because we were focusing on football. I've always told you pregnant wives make me nervous.
Credit to Kirk for not having another child.
I've always told you pregnant wives and sick parents in season make me very nervous.
My fiance, who by the way we are exactly a year out from tying the knot, is terrified to have a child during football season if we cross that bridge because of that guy right there.
Plan it
for
out.
those exact comments. She is petrified that she's going to have to take an Uber because I'm doing vent line.
Declan, how does it feel to know that whether it's during football season or anytime, Judd may say congratulations and he's happy for you, but deep down, he's going to kind of be seething that your attention is not fully on Score North, Purple Daily.
Well, no, not off season. Now the problem for her is
confirmed it.
Is if she's pregnant in the summer, I hear it's miserable.
Dude,
so
if Patrick Mahomes can have a baby in season, right, and win a Super Bowl,
that kid disappeared too. Their son, he like is seen, and then like for the rest of the show, he's just like being with his.
They've outsourced the child.
Mom or nanny. They've outsourced the child.
How much Judd's thoughts on this have just come up in passing at dinner or in our relationship over us having a child during football season.
Yep. Oh, this is going to be
having a child during football
uncomfortable.
Season means that we're going to have AJ in the bullpen then, and we'll go to the left-hander.
Oh, now he's threatening to rip. Look at he's already threatening. And you know what happens?
You know how much time a kid takes up?
Let me tell you
and
about.
you won't be sleeping well, and you need your sleep.
Let me tell you about Pee Wee Reese, Declan. That's what Judd wants to.
That's the other thing, dude. If you have a kid,
no one's sleeping. I'm going to be miserable.
No, that's my
miserable.
point. But without a kid, everyone's sleeping fine. So make sure the kid doesn't come during the football season.
This is amazing. Judd just like tripled down on the fear.
Am I asking that much? The world has a lot of people. Okay, we don't need them immediately.
I think you need to stop telling people how to live their lives. Is what you need to do.
I'm not telling people. I'm telling Declan because I work with him.
You just said that person.
I just told Declan. I'm not telling the rest. The rest of you go procreate. See if I care. Congratulations.
But not my producer and coworker.
But not the guy I need on the show.
All right. Well, there you go. There's our review and some life advice. Our review of the 8-part quarterback docuseries on Netflix. On the Score North app, and just don't procreate, or Judd is going to come knocking on your door.
Everyone else, you're fine.
All right, Daily Vikings Entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
You like that?